It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 94 of the Rob Carson Show podcast. Took a weekend off, ready to hit it again. And I have plenty of stuff to get to on the radio show, and it's just an honor to be here, as always. I've had some really, really cool stories shared with me in the last few days. I took a 3-day weekend just because I had a lot of things I needed to do. And I got a great a note from a local guy. I'll just call him Dr. Alex. He's a chiropractor, and he wants to be a sponsor on the show. And with podcasting and what I'm doing here, it is an endeavor that I've never attempted before. Generally, in radio, you have a job, and I don't. And I'm building things from the ground up. And I have on days and I have off days. And I have some days where I know that I can conquer the world. Then there are days where I go, I don't have enough downloads yet. I don't have enough downloads. And then I hear a story from this guy, Dr. Alex. And he's just a guy, just a man who downloads the podcast. And he said, Rob, I listen for you every day. I like to have your voice in your podcast with me on the way home. And I've been in radio stations where I've had a million people a week listening. And it's great to have a million people a week listening. Right now, knowing that one person listens and goes, wow, I have to listen to this every day, is an honor. And there are many more than just one person. I'm just saying this one comment from one person meant the world to me. It really, really meant the world to me. Like I said, I have on days and I have off days. Yesterday, I kind of an off day because, you got to pay the bills, right? You got to pay the bills. And right now, when you are building a podcast and you're competing with 300,000 other podcasters out there, you kind of wonder. And I know many of you, say, for instance, maybe you're a restaurateur. Maybe you're whatever. You're going to enter a venture and you are going to succeed or fail. And perhaps on the way to success, you question, oh, my God, am I going to be able to do this? This weekend, I went to Somerset Ridge Vineyard, which is a vineyard in Kansas. And I know you're thinking, wow, Kansas vineyard, how good's that going to be? Well, it's amazing. And the two people who own it, they're amazing folks. And they decided to build a vineyard in Kansas. And you're thinking, really? But Cindy Reynolds and her hubby built this vineyard. And not only did they build the vineyard, they also had the wherewithal to say, we will not make wine until we grow the grapes here. Anybody can bring in grapes from California and make wine. I could make wine in my kitchen. She and her husband said, Cindy and Glenn, by the way, said they're going to make wine. They're going to grow their own grapes. And they laid it all on the line, man. I mean, they risked everything. And they are making some wine that is so damn good. Oh, my goodness. Their wine, their balsamic vinegars, their olive oils, impeccable. Impeccable. And, in some ways, I'm a wine snob. In some ways, I'm not a wine snob. I drink Chardonnay out of a box, all right? My wife and I, we don't have money to buy, $20, 750 milliliter bottles of wine. We just don't. We don't. We drink cheap wine, all right? And we enjoy it. But in the same way that Cindy and her husband built this winery, I am trying to do the same thing with podcasting. Although I don't think my show is as intoxicating as what they produce. So if you're in the area, if you're in the Kansas City area, go to Somerset Ridge Winery. It's spectacular. It is absolutely glorious. And realize that, if you're trying something new, I'm not meaning to act like I'm some sort of sage because I'm stumbling through this. I'm doing a podcast every day. I know what I'm doing. I know that what I'm doing, I put a lot of effort into it, and I think it's entertaining. I think it's genuinely entertaining. And I hope for the day that I have 1 million downloads. But I got to wait, and I got to soldier on through that in the meantime. If you are doing the same thing in your life, if you're an entrepreneur, I wish you all the best. I really do. If you're local, who knows? Maybe I'll have you on my podcast. That's what I'm trying to do locally. Now we're doing a national podcast. It's featured on redmaryland.com in the state of Maryland. It is also being featured. I try to feature some local stuff as well. I live in the Kansas City area. And I want to become a destination for you no matter where you live. So if you have something that it might be as interesting, if you want to sponsor this podcast, you want to get your message on the podcast, please write me, carsonontheradio@gmail.com, carsonontheradio@gmail.com. We've had one terrifically successful sponsor, and that is Grass Monsters KC. All right, this is a local place owned by a guy named Andrew Cook, an entrepreneur who, in January, this guy had $1,500 in his bank account. He was almost ready to close the doors on this terrific little business that sells residential and commercial lawnmowers, like the Dixie Chopper, like the Hustler. Okay, Dixie Chopper made in Indiana, Hustler made in Kansas, American made, built like a brick excrement house. He was ready to, close the doors, but the message cut through. People heard it from me, not only when I was on the radio, but also doing the podcast. And he's kicking ass. I talked to a guy today. I said, go, grassmonsterskc.com. Talk to Andrew Cook. Get one of these mowers. This guy I talked to today had 14 acres. And I said, I wouldn't do anything else. I wouldn't go anywhere else. So let's move on to the day's events. Lots of stuff to get to on the show. Some political, some not so much. This story out of Washington, D.C. is fascinating. And I'm not Alex Jones, all right? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But there is some, pardon the expression, some shit going on with the death of DNC staffer Seth Rich. He was murdered in Washington, D.C. last July. All right? He was walking home from a bar. They're saying that, at least initially they're saying that he was robbed, but nothing he had on him was stolen. All right? He had $2,000 worth of stuff on him. He was murdered. He was murdered. He wasn't robbed. He was murdered. Many people now are saying that it was because of emails that he leaked to WikiLeaks. Now, I'm just going to leave this up to you, but Fox 5 in Washington, D.C. has broken this story. Now, Fox 5, not an affiliate of Fox. They're not right-leaning media. This is a local television station, but they have broken a story about the death of this man, 27-year-old guy. All right? They've gotten in touch with a Rod Wheeler, private investigator in D.C., hired by the Rich family. And this guy, Rod Wheeler, is suggesting there is tangible evidence on Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. All right? Here's a little bit of the beginning of the story from Fox 5 in D.C. Again, I haven't made up my mind on this. You make up your mind on this. Listen to this and see what you think.
2 months shy of the 1-year anniversary of Seth Rich's murder. And ever since we learned Rich was a DNC staffer, the conspiracy theories online have taken a life of their own. But today, Fox 5 has learned there is new information that could prove these theorists are, in fact, right. New information from the family's private investigator suggests there is tangible evidence on Seth Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Now, the question is, why has D.C. police, as the lead agency on the investigation for the past 10 months, insisted this was a botched robbery when till this day there is no evidence to suggest that? The Rich family hired Rod Wheeler, a former MPD homicide detective, to run a parallel investigation into their son's death. Wheeler says he believes there's a cover-up and the police department has been told to back down from the investigation.
All right, so we've got this, okay? Now, Rod Wheeler says that there were contacts from Seth Rich to WikiLeaks through Gavin McFadden. He's an American investigative reporter. Oh, yeah, he dead too. He's dead as well. All right? So this federal investigator who requested anonymity said 44,000 emails and 17,761 attachments between Democrat National Committee leaders spanning from 2015 to 2016 were transferred from Rich McFadden before May 21st. On July 22nd, just 12 days after Rich was killed, WikiLeaks published internal DNC emails that appeared to show top party officials conspired to stop Bernie Sanders from becoming the party's presidential nominee. That controversy resulted in Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigning. A number of Sanders supporters refused to back party nominee Hillary Clinton, and some subsequently formed groups to work against her. WikiLeaks has decided to issue a $20,000 reward for information leading to conviction of the people who murdered Seth Rich. Okay? So that's going on there. Smelled a little fishy. I lived in Washington, D.C., and I used to go down to the wharf, and it smelled fishy down there. This smells fishy. Washington Police Department has no suspects and no substantial leads as to who the killer or killers may be. That's what's going on right now. Here's a little bit more from Fox 5 DC and this investigator, Rod Wheeler.
Nor the FBI has been forthcoming. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I've been told both.
But you have sources at the FBI.
This is Seth Rich's computer, by the way. It was confiscated. Nobody's seen it.
Saying that there is information
For
that
sure.
could link Seth Rich to WikiLeaks?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's confirmed. Actually, I have a source inside the police department that has looked at me straight in the eye and said, Rod, we were told to stand down in this case, and I can't share any information with you. Now, that's highly unusual for a murder investigation, especially from a police department. Again, I don't think it comes from the chief's office, but I do believe there is a correlation between the mayor's office and the DNC, and that's the information that's going to come out tomorrow.
Okay, now we are expected to hear more. Today is Tuesday. We could hear it today. We could hear it tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Today is the 16th, tomorrow the 17th. We will see. Again, 2 assailants been caught on tape outside a grocery store, shot Rich in the back, did not take his wallet, his cell phone, his keys, or a necklace he was wearing. They say that was worth $2,000. Okay? Julian Assange says, I am suggesting that our sources take risks and they become concerned to see things occurring like this. D.C. police have announced a $25,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of Rich's killer. Republican lobbyist Jack Berkman has offered a separate $130,000 reward. The whole thing, like I said, it stinks. This apparently Rich had been to Lou's City Bar, couple miles from his home, about 1:15 in the morning, walked home, called several people on the way, called his father, Joel Ridge, who he missed because he had gone to sleep, talked to a fraternity brother and his girlfriend, 4:17 a.m., Rich was about a block from his home. When he heard voices behind him, Rich assured his girlfriend, Kelsey Molka, that he was steps away from being at his door, and he hung up. 2 minutes later, he was shot. Police were on the scene within 3 minutes. Rich sustained bruising on his hands and face. He remained conscious but died at a nearby hospital less than 2 hours later. Police detectives will not say whether Rich provided them with any clues about the identity of his attackers or their motivation. This Rod Wheeler, the investigator, said he believes Rich could have provided information prior to his death of who was responsible for carrying out his murder. So he's saying Rich was conscious. He was sharing information. There are numerous occasions we've heard that, get a little too close to the Clintons, a little too critical of the Clintons. There are a few, there's a trail of bodies. Again, not meaning to go down the Alex Jones route here. But at the same time, this needs to be investigated. Mika Brzezinski. I don't know. Why does talk radio keep talking about Mika Brzezinski? Why do we keep talking about Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough? Nobody's watching. I guess they're good at getting people to talk about them, but nobody really wants to watch the show. It is a very low-rated show. It's under 1 million people a day. When I was in Washington, D.C., 1 million people listen to my show on the radio. This is a nationally syndicated show on TV, MSNBC. Fewer than 1 million people watch it every day. But that said, I don't know what it is about Mika and Joe. Maybe we like to make fun of them, whatever. Anyway, Mika Brzezinski on Friday slammed Kellyanne Conway for politics porn. Now, Mika Brzezinski, it's interesting because she acts like she has some sort of credibility, I guess. And then she accuses the other side of not having it. Here she is on Friday morning talking about Kellyanne Conway and why other media, particularly CNN, should not have her on as a source.
But you got to stop putting Kellyanne on the air. It's politics porn. You're just getting your little ratings crack, okay? But
well, you certainly don't get your ratings crack on your show, girl.
It's disgusting. There's nothing that she brings to the table that's honest. You're also, note to CNN, sorry, I love CNN, but you got to stop putting Kellyanne on the air. It's politics porn. You're just getting your little ratings crack, okay? But it's disgusting. There's nothing
Lord.
that she brings to the table that's honest. Your hosts
What
know
about
it.
you? Whoa. What about you? What do you bring to the table that is honest? Mika Brzezinski, what do you bring to the table that is honest? You, of all things, at least with Joe, occasionally, you might see a grain of truth. He's supposedly a conservative. Not so much. But what do you dingbat, bring to the table that's honest, honestly?
Hosts look pained when they interview her because they know they're just doing politics porn. They're not doing news. We need to stick to the news. That brings us to my next point. Who is it in the White House that can be trusted? Who can be trusted to give a statement, to explain where we stand in this administration, to explain that this presidency isn't falling down on a house of cards with lies written on them? I mean, this is a bad situation. But
okay, now, look, where were you when the Obama administration was in office? Where were you when what the little fop that was the communications director of the White House? Where were you? Why weren't you answering the questions when things like Benghazi happened? Suddenly, because someone has a take, someone comes to the table. Kellyanne Conway has every right to defend the person she's speaking for. She has every right to defend the Trump administration. She is a partisan. Of course, you're not talking to another journalist. You are talking to someone who is essentially a mouthpiece of an administration. Get used to it, sunshine. Ask the tough questions. If she doesn't answer the tough questions, you move on. But you're never going to get an unbiased reaction from someone who is part of an administration, regardless of who it is. Dana Perino, George Bush, you expect you're going to get an unbiased response on any questions? Are you out of your nut, Mika? This is new to you? Michelle Obama, not particularly happy with the attacks on her lunch program. Not a big fan of people criticizing the lunch program that left children hungry and left a lot of trash in the garbage can. Michelle Obama was at a summit held by the organization she co-founded, the Partnership for a Healthier America. And she was being interviewed by a former White House chef, Sam Cass. Cass asked Obama why she ran into so many obstacles pushing her healthy food platform. Well, here's the number one obstacle. The food sucked. And anything that was good was not enough for the kids. It made kids hungry. It's kind of like, I don't know what's going on in in Venezuela right now. I understand the quest to conquer childhood obesity, or at least go after it. Unfortunately, while Michelle Obama was the first lady, childhood obesity went up in the country. Here is Michelle Obama talking about people who would try to shoot down her lunch program and why they're awful people.
So, we have a lot more work to do for sure. But we got to make sure we don't let anybody take us back. Because the question is, where are we going back to? What is it that people...
How about kids eating their lunch because it was good and not throwing it away?
This is where you really have to look at motives. You have to stop and think. Why don't you want our kids to have good food at school?
Okay, this is such bullshit. All right? Nobody on my side of the political aisle wants kids to have suck-ass food at school. All right? Nobody wants that. So this is what the left typically does. They shout things. They immediately condemn those who disagree with what she's doing or what you're doing and label it as something awful. So immediately, because people don't like your sucky, your awful school lunch program, you may think kids want to eat whatever. We've seen a lot of kids around the country. It was giant. The Michelle Obama lunch porn has been a really big deal, where kids will take a picture of the god-awful food that the government is providing, and the federal government took over lunch programs instead of leaving it up to local school districts who know that maybe kids in the South might like grits. I know that sounds like a cliche. Maybe kids in wherever would like Chinese food. Maybe kids in wherever would like pasta. But Michelle Obama wanted to take over the federal school lunch program, deny schools funding if you disagreed with it, and meanwhile, all of these supposedly good options ended up in the trash. More from Michelle Obama.
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? No, Michelle, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you that you would decide you needed to take over the school lunch program across the country and offer things that kids won't eat? Your lunch program is an abysmal failure. Like your husband's presidency.
And why is that a partisan issue?
What is partisan is you deciding as a federal bureaucrat that you take over every school district's lunch program. And if you don't go along with it, then you cancel funding. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So if that's partisan, then by God, I'll be partisan. Then I'll be partisan. All right, let's move on to some other stuff. Got a few stories that I want to share with you. Some I'm gonna have to wait for episode number 95 of the Carson Show podcast, because there's just too much good stuff. I do want to remind you guys, if you get a chance to, if you're considering getting a residential or commercial mower, you go to Grass Monsters KC, grassmonsterskc.com. They have Dixie Chopper, and also Hustler mowers. They are American made and they're awesome. GrassMonstersKC.com. Also, we've been selling some my politically incorrect swag. I've got a friend named Sam Cangelosi, and he was a former artist for Hallmark, of all places. And he's bringing his brilliant design to my politically incorrect sayings, and it's really cool stuff. Go to, it's a website, it's called teepublic.com, teepublic.com, and just look up conservatees, teepublic.com, look up conservatees, that's Tees at the end. You'll see a bunch of stuff there. Maryland-centric stuff, Missouri-centric stuff, Kansas-centric stuff, national stuff as well. I think you're going to love it. And by the way, Father's Day is coming, I believe, the 18th of June. So you can order some stuff. But we are selling a few. It's starting to catch on. I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited about it. Outspoken black teacher filed a lawsuit Thursday against Minnesota's St. Paul Public Schools, saying the district retaliated against him for criticizing a policy that calls for disciplining black students less severely than white students. This is happening all over the country. This was a national policy espoused by the Obama administration, and it has been a colossal failure. Here's the problem, guys. Black kids are misbehaving in school at a much higher percentage rate than other kids. Rather than addressing the problem of, 70% of inner city kids being raised without their dads at home, rather than the thug culture, rather than confronting that, they have said, we'll just ignore it altogether by not punishing black students. Because as it is right now, in a lot of school districts, because black students are committing more acts that are inappropriate, whether it be violence, whether it be whatever, rather than just saying, yeah, black kids are doing this more, they're saying that somehow black kids are being persecuted and by white teachers. And it's a joke, and it's falling on its face around the country because it fails to recognize the true ills in the African-American community in this country. And the same goes with policing. The same goes with this myth that white police officers are killing black people at a higher rate. It's a bunch of crap. Black kids, there is a crisis in the black community with regard to the culture, with regard to fatherhood, with regard to abortion, all of these things. But rather than confront it honestly, they're going to try and ignore it. And it's backfiring. Here's a story from Care TV in Minneapolis about this teacher who had the audacity as a black man to say, really, there is a problem here.
Public schools today makes Dr. King's wish a distant dream.
It was at a school board meeting in May 2014 when Aaron Benner, a teacher at Johnson Elementary, took a public stance against the racial equity policy at St. Paul Public School.
And it cost him his job.
That policy, he said, didn't discipline African American students as severely as Caucasian students. In his lawsuit filed Thursday, Benner says he was the only African American teacher in the school and that he had no disciplinary record in his 14 years of teaching there. After speaking up at that meeting, the lawsuit says the district then investigated him 4 different times on various issues during the following school year. Benner resigned from the school district in August 2015 after accepting a teaching position in another school system.
St. Paul Public Schools are screwed right now. I used to live in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and they are screwed right now because they are all twisted up with political correctness, and it's ruining the careers of people. It is ruining the possibility of some kids achieving. It is ruining them for a variety of reasons. One of them, when you don't discipline a kid who is misbehaving because you're afraid that this will upset somebody because of the color of his skin or her skin, you are putting that kid at a disadvantage. And it's happening there. It's happening. I hope this guy's lawsuit rolls through. It doesn't help. It doesn't help things by avoiding the reality of the situation. It doesn't help the African American community by failing to recognize that part of the African American community is suffering. Can you tell I have dogs in the background? All right, one more story, and then we will move on from episode number 94. Episode 100 coming later in the week. Shocking new video shows Western Washington University students screaming for 2 minutes after seeing a Donald Trump sign on campus. This is a report of the sort of batshit crazy stuff that's going on university campuses everywhere with regard to speech that is not politically correct. This is unbelievable. And episode 95 of the podcast, I'm going to focus a lot on some of the madness on universities. Campus reform videotaped a kid responding to a pro-Trump sign on campus. And this is the kind of stuff that's going on. If you get a chance to, I've really been getting into Ben Shapiro's stuff on campus. Ben Shapiro is, I think, a genius. A young guy, he's like 33, 34 years old. He is just spectacular. I've been watching a lot of Ben Shapiro online, and Ben Shapiro is really confronting some of the things that are going on campuses everywhere with regard to political correctness and shutting down conservative speech. Here's a little bit of this animal. And by the way, this is my slogan. I'm trademarking it. Get your asses to your classes. You've got a lot of university students who would rather concern themselves with social justice bullshit than getting to their classes, learning, and becoming productive citizens. They are claiming victimhood across the country for a variety of ills that don't exist anymore. They are trying to drag the society back to 1968 and 1918. And it's a load of crap. It is time to get your asses to your classes, and fools like this need to be booted off campus. I want you to listen to this batshit lunatic who is so offended that somebody might support Donald Trump on campus that she did this. I wish it were legal to just walk up, male or female, and just smack that upside the head.
This is what happens when you don't take your meds. This is why I don't believe in the legalization of marijuana. This is exactly why I don't believe in the legalization of marijuana. Right here on the Western Washington campus, she's going nuts with the Trump sign. With the Trump sign. She doesn't like the Trump sign.
This is how bad it's gotten on campus. Not only can you've gotten rid of the possibility of debate, but now you have children doing this shit. I was not a big fan. I'm not a fan of corporal punishment. This psychotic, cow of Satan needs to have her ass kicked. All right? This, whatever the hell she is, needs somebody to I don't want to breach legality here, but she needs to be smacked upside the head. Honestly. If you can't have a debate and you've got to resort to this shit, bam, right upside the head. Now, I don't care if you're male or female. This is ridiculous. And it's going on campuses across the country. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. I want to wrap things up. Morgan Freeman was interviewed by Don Lemon the other day on CNN. Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman, I obviously, who couldn't be a Morgan Freeman fan with regard to his acting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Don Lemon asked him about income inequality. And I wanted to share this because I thought it was pretty amazing. Don Lemon wears a, $1,000 suits, makes millions of dollars a year on CNN. There are a lot of black people who enjoy incredible privilege. Oprah Winfrey, a billionaire. There are numerous examples of black people living the American dream. There are a lot of white people living in trailer parks, addicted to opioid pain meds or heroin. But that isn't enough for some people. Don Lemon, even though he probably gets a chauffeured vehicle in the morning to get him to work. Don Lemon, who wears $1,000 suits. Don Lemon, who is part of a privileged 1% in America, decides to ask Morgan Freeman about income inequality with regard to race. And I really enjoyed what Morgan Freeman had to say about it.
Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't?
Today?
Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't.
He said no.
You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything?
You and I are proof. He's looking at Don Lemon in his $1,000 suit, looking at Morgan Freeman making $15 to $20 million of film. He's saying the obvious. You and I are the proof.
Thing to do with it. Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. I had a long haul from where I came from.
Yeah, and so did I, actually. I grew up on a farm in Iowa. Yeah.
To here. But here we are, right? So proof is in the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and here we sit at the dining table.
But it's hard to, when you say that to some people, because they say,
yeah, Don Lemon, you're sitting at a table that many people, Hispanics, whites, and others, would love to. But they're never going to make it to the upper echelons of income like you and Morgan Freeman have.
Oh, there you go with a pull yourself up by the bootstraps thing, and, you know, you're just being respectable. Not everybody can do that.
Yes, they can. Bullshit.
Everybody can.
He said that. Morgan Freeman said bullshit. Morgan Freeman said bullshit. You can pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you can do it here in this country. It's true. It can be done. I love that. Morgan Freeman, thank you for that today. And on that note, it's time for me to wrap things up. This is episode number 94, 95 on the way. I hope you've enjoyed it. You get a chance to check out the terrific, politically incorrect swag that I have at tpublic.com. Just look for Conservatees. Check that out, okay? I'd greatly appreciate it. We're trying to make a go of it. Also, we are downloadable on iTunes at Rob Carson Show, The Rob Carson Show. We are on Facebook, the RobCarsonShow.com. RobCarsonShow.com is the website. Rob Carson Show is Facebook. All right. Does that make sense? I think so. Anyway, have a glorious rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Share the podcast with others if you would. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you to redmaryland.com for highlighting the show on their glorious, glorious blog, redmaryland.com. And thanks again to Grass Monsters KC for being a sponsor. Take care of yourself. God bless you. And we'll see you back here for episode number 95 very soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.